Just trying to adjust everything. Right.
No problem. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah, I'm so happy to do this. I'm really excited.
I don't know if anyone told you, but your face is so graceful.
Oh, thank you. That's really sweet.
It's just like, I don't know why, but it makes me feel so peaceful when I see you.
Oh, that makes me very happy to hear. Thank you.
If you ever want to be like a psychologist or something like that, just like...
Oh, really? So it has a calming effect on people, and that's really good to hear.
But please, remain a dancer first.
So how have you had a busy day today, or
crazy?
Really?
Thursdays is the craziest day, but I was like, we'll finish with a high note.
Oh, thank you. It's great to for you to make time for me.
Let's start with the start, because I don't know if anyone knows you. Actually, that was the point of having that chat here with you today, is I wanted to introduce your beautiful self to our followers. Could you introduce yourself? But wait, I have a twist. Can you introduce yourself without saying you're a dancer?
Okay. So my name is Suzan, and I'm originally from South Africa. And I also lived in the UK for about 14 years, I think. And yeah, I've been living in Vienna for about 6 years already now. And oh wait, I have someone else to introduce. This is my dog Poppy.
Hello, Poppy.
So yeah. Any other details? I don't know. that is quite hard to never mention a dancer, although I do find it sometimes quite interesting to, when I do meet new people, not to say that I'm a dancer until they really start pushing, like, oh, so what do you do here? Why did you come here? So it's always quite interesting how long it takes.
But when you tell them you're a dancer, do they still ask you, yeah, but what do you do?
Yeah, I have had that before. I've had that like, oh, is that your main job? You know, or I don't know, so many strange questions I've had. Yeah, it's like, do you get paid for that? Can you live well? And I think it's just like, there are so many misconceptions and so many stereotypes that still exist around dancers. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but it's always...
So your handle on Instagram is Not a Bunhead.
Exactly. And
it really got me thinking, because like for me, being a bunhead is something you should be proud of.
Yeah, I don't know. I think somehow I've heard two different things. Sometimes people have said like, oh, she's such a bunhead, or he's such a bunhead, and it's kind of as a negative connotation. And I think I also grew up with that, kind of thinking that, you know, you have to just dedicate every breath to ballet and to your art. Which I think is, in a sense, it's a beautiful way of thinking and looking at, you know, dedicating so much to this art. But at the same time, I feel that it's kind of, it can get a bit overwhelming sometimes. And that's, I think, what I experienced when I was younger, or kind of starting in a company, that sometimes you just have to break away from all of that sometimes.
So typically being a bunhead would be, you wake up, you think about ballet, you go to class, you go to rehearsal, come back home, watch more ballet.
Yeah, even, you know, staying at work till the doors close, or staying at school, or, you know, using every opportunity. I don't know, I used to kind of, the kind of bunhead idea for me would be someone who's, the only thing that they watch in their free time would be ballet, or the only thing they can talk about is ballet.
I'm thinking about a few people.
Yeah, and even going deeper, like this kind of idealistic idea that we have, you know, I always thought that, oh, a ballerina has to look a certain way, you know, you have to dress, even in your private life, a certain way, or I don't know, even eat a certain way. That was a big topic for me, that, oh, okay, wait, I'm a dancer, I should be this particular size, or eat this particular diet because I'm a dancer. And yeah, for me, it really got too much. And I did start, you know, I have never lost sight of my goals and what I want to achieve as a dancer, but just, I realized that breaking away sometimes and just doing something different, or just finding who I really am, really helped me find a greater joy in what I do in the studio and on stage.
So what took you, like, what was the path to creating that account? How did it?
Well, I guess I've been on a journey myself for a long time, probably the past 4 or 5 years. And I guess I kind of wanted to share a lot of that, and I mean, lockdown has been, and this whole Corona time has been the perfect time for many people to start thinking.
To reflect,
yeah, to reflect. And it's been a huge and very important reflection time for me. And I think that's when I also felt very secure and more like, yeah, this is really what I believe, and this is what has helped me a lot, and I love sharing this with people. And I thought, well, Instagram is a great platform for that. I've been active on my private account a lot, and so I thought, well, why not use it in a kind of a more helpful way as well.
Sure, that's when Instagram can be useful and not
exactly
about me, myself, and I.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is great as well. I'm not
I have to have that sometimes.
When I saw your account the first time, you actually got me thinking about what we meant by being a bunhead. And it got me to realize that with some of the dancers that I work with, either friends or actually dancers who were training with me, we had that conversation many times in the past about what do I do in my free time, if I can say, or the time that I'm not on purpose training for ballet. Should I be, as you said, dedicating all my time to thinking about everything that is ballet? And the one that were naturally like that, they felt a lot of pressure for not doing something else and not enjoying life.
Yeah.
And the one that were the opposite, you know, the kind of dancer who, as soon as they close the door, it's just like, hey, don't talk to me about dance.
Yeah.
They felt the pressure from the other because it looked like they're not real dancers. Like you don't watch YouTube, and you like when you go in a restaurant, you don't talk about ballet anymore. And I remember having lots of conversation about these two, because I felt like, well, first of all, there's a spectrum. I'm just kind of saying the extremes of the two. But like nobody feel that they are, nobody feel like what they're doing is the right thing.
Yeah, and I understand what you mean, and I feel like there's no right or wrong. It's what every person, how they feel comfortable and what they do with their time to, at the end of the day, enrich themselves. And I think for me, it just kind of hit me quite hard when I had my injury, and I was off for a whole season. And that really, because before I was never injured, I was really, you know, hustling and grinding, like, you know, just never stopping, just either doing classes, even in summer, trying to find as many kind of classes to do, and just, you know, very much just ballet. And then I was kind of faced with this reality that maybe I wouldn't be able to dance again. And for me, it was extremely scary, because I was thinking, what else would I do with my life? I really had zero interest for anything else. And that's when I mean, it took me my whole injury to kind of find other interests, but I felt kind of this intense pressure being lifted off me, because when you have a bad day at work then, or at school, and you're training, it's like, okay, well, you know what, that's not the end of the world. There are so many other things in this world, you know. And for me, that kind of just took off this pressure. And yeah, I think it's like you say, there's some people who are going to enjoy watching ballet all the time, and that's perfectly fine. But you should not force yourself if that's not really what you want to do. You know, everyone has different ways of kind of stress relief, or you know, I like to just go away from the studio, and if I have something to think about and reflect on, then I will. But for me, this headspace, I need that, you know, it helps me so much to then walk back into a studio feeling fresh, and, you know, having a full charged battery.
So if I take you out for dinner, we're not talking ballet, that's what you're talking.
Yeah, I mean, I do talk about, when it's normal, I talk about ballet because it's what I do, but I really I also enjoyed speaking to people who don't know the ballet world at all. And
No.
I have friends who are into sports, who are medical.
Are you telling me you have friends who are not dancers?
Oh, yeah. Most, yeah. Yeah. No, I have quite a good big circle of friends who don't do ballet at all.
That's
but
amazing.
either law, like working in law firms, or law students. A friend of mine is a techno DJ, which was super interesting because
nice.
Yeah, because it's again a totally different genre from what I've known before, and his enthusiasm and his motivation for his music was so inspiring for me, even though it's, you know, not ballet, not classical music. I really took so much of his energy, and I could take that in to work with me the next day, and feeling like, you know what, I can do this, you know. Just his energy inspired me so much.
Yeah.
So this I found very interesting, is to just also hear about other people's ambitions, and yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's all the same thing. You know, we have a different technique, we have a different job, but this ambition, this hunger for something bigger we're still the same.
I remember a friend said a quote that I use all the time: we're human after all.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, what I also spoke to someone recently, is that we have to find a new audience, basically. I feel, in the dance world, and people want to see human beings on stage. They want to be able to relate with what's going on stage. And I do feel that sometimes we have this disconnection with the audience and the dancers. And yeah, and even ballets that I've done before, where you can really see human emotion, and it's really, it touches you on a deeper psychological level. These are the ballets that are actually the most successful in our modern day and age.
Yeah.
And if we can't, as dancers, experience real life, then how are we supposed to relate to our audience?
That's very true. I remember it was David Hallberg who said ballet needs more figures. People know football players, actors, but who can name a ballet dancer? But it comes from, I was about to say us, but I think it's you. to literally give them something that they can relate to, because as you said, we're used in the ballet world to only show the good, the perfect.
Exactly.
But I remember watching RuPaul Drag Race recently, because I'm very much like you. I know that you get a lot of inspiration from a lot of things, even though I do breeze ballet all the time.
Yeah.
Because when I watch RuPaul Drag Race, I watch RuPaul Drag Race to see how I can help dancers, but it's okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like
what he was saying a lot is, I want to see that vulnerability. How do you want me to love you if what you're showing me is something that's just all perfect and there is no crack, there is no humanity?
Exactly. No, I totally agree with that. But it's funny you say you watch RuPaul. I love Formula One. I love racing, and not a typical sport for a ballet dancer to be watching. But I don't know. I watching also the interviews with the drivers, or sometimes listening to how they started and what was their struggles. I feel that sometimes interviews that I've watched with dancers is that you never really hear the true struggle. You only hear, you know, I mean, yes, of course there are interviews like where you really hear the true stories, but I feel like they're always a little bit over exaggerated, or, you know, a bit like, you know, I spend night and day in the studio, and I ate lunch in the studio, or I never ate lunch at all, and then I finally became Odette. And it's, for me, sometimes it's like, that's not really what goes on. That's not really what happens. We really need the real grit of what really people go through, and that it's not always smooth sailing. You don't always just jump from school into a company. It's not like that for everyone. Everyone has a different route. And yeah, I just feel that if I can hear things from other athletes or other successful people, how they reach their dream, it's all about, you know, reaching your dream at the end of the day.
It is. It's funny funny what you said, because it reminds me of every time we talk about Fauna, everybody talks about the rehearsal at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, come on, guys. You know, from the day one, which time you're going to have your rehearsal.
Yeah.
Not everybody has rehearsal at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly.
And if you do, you just adjust your time and that's it.
Yeah. No,
but when I say that, people are like, yeah, but it doesn't sound that impressive.
It's all about trying to make it.
There's no drama anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I also get very frustrated if, you know, people, they ask, oh, so what is a typical day like? And I do know some people that like to over exaggerate things a lot, make it sound like we're really being killed all day, every day. And, you know, and yeah, it is a hard profession to be in, but there are also days where I, you know,
have not much to do.
No, exactly.
I know.
Yeah, and that we should actually also be grateful to be able to be dancing on beautiful stages, or to be doing something that is also considered as a hobby and make it into our profession.
Very true.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the opposite. People should be grateful that they can do a hobby of what other people make a profession.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
How's the situation at the moment for you?
At the moment, we are allowed to rehearse and to do training in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
We just keep waiting to hear from the government when we are allowed to do a performance. And as it stands now,
no premiere tonight.
No. And just on the 29th, we'll do La Fille Magade. That's the plan if everything goes to plan. But
La Fille.
La Fille, yeah.
It's funny because that was a subject of our dancer studies today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's
must be a sign.
Ballet. It's such a beautiful ballet.
Which versions do you do, Ashton?
Ashton, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I was at the Royal Ballet School, so I grew up with this ballet and grew up with Ashton Ballet. So for me, it's a little, it's like home.
Oh, you know what? I've never managed to enjoy an Ashton Ballet, apart from La Fille, maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I need your insight, because I'm sure there's something I'm missing to really enjoy it.
Well, it depends which ones you've seen.
Just in general, I never liked it.
Oh, I love Ashton Cinderella as well, and also Two Pigeons. But Two Pigeons is not performed in many companies because I think
it is, yeah.
You have to have a license or something to have the birds flying freely on stage or something like this. But I find it a very cute ballet. They're all very cute somehow.
Oh no, the one I like is Margarita Namo.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this one.
Yeah. So just a question for you. When your students were talking about like this thing of what they should do with their free time, the ones did they feel pressure from the opposite kind of spectrum, or was it just the pressure from like general?
In the end, they realized it was pressure from themselves to conform to what they think they should be. And there was a lot also of conversation about what you mentioned in the beginning. How should you dress? And there was some discussion about like, well, it's not because you come in with warmers and boots and your roller that you actually are a dancer. You still need to put on the work.
Yes.
And you can actually get rid of all of that and you still be a dancer. Or you can dress like that if you like it, but just dress like that because you like it. Don't dress like that because this is how a dancer should look like.
Something. Yeah. Well, yeah, in that case, I can also somehow relate to that. I've definitely broken away from that. I also had people ask me.
Love your hair, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was going to mention my hair now. I've always wanted my hair short, and I'm always changing it somehow. I've even recently dyed it pink. It's washed out now, but people even ask me, oh, but what about your hair? Like, are you allowed to? I mean, I have to say, at school we did have stricter rules. I mean, not every school is like that, but our school we did have certain rules. We had to have our hair in a certain way, and you also had to wear your uniform all day.
But that's part of training and educating you to conform, and that's
exactly.
There's a reason behind that.
Yeah, and I think it's a form of discipline, really, and it did teach me a lot as well. It taught me how to, I always try to dress neatly even at work, and but I mean, at some point you have to find who you really are and what you enjoy doing and what you like. And yeah, I just decided I wanted to finally do what I want to do and dress how I want to dress, and spend my free time how I want to, because also I also think of the bigger picture, like now in lockdown also, that's really when you realize, okay, well, what else do I do with my time if I can't be in the studio? How do I pass the time? What happens when we stop dancing? Like, what happens then? We still have a whole new life. We have still half of our life that we have to, enjoy somehow.
Marie was asking, in which company do you dance? Because we completely skipped the fact that you're a dancer.
Yeah. Vienna
So
State
we've
Opera.
managed to do 20 minutes without saying where you dance.
Oh, wow. Well, I dance in Vienna, the Staatsoper.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
favorite company for people who do not know.
Yes, Vienna State Opera. We have a beautiful theater. This is a beautiful, beautiful house and a beautiful view every day by the bar. So I'm really
I'm just like, how do you not want to just leave there?
What, leave there? I live there or leave there?
Yeah, to leave there in the opera. It's so beautiful.
Sometimes we do because we have so much work.
That is true, that actually if you work there, it's not that beautiful in the end.
No, I have to say, even it's been, 5 years and I'm still like, wow, this is so beautiful. And I think that's also...
The studio as well is so nice. There is something about the big one.
Yeah.
Oh, the small one as well, actually. But the big one, I don't know, there is something about it.
It still has this very classic feeling, we don't have one of these super modern studios. We've recently had the floor redone, which is great, but before...
Are you happy about it? Because I heard mixed feelings.
Yeah, I mean, which dancer is ever going to be happy with a floor?
Good
That
answer.
just never exists. I've never had a floor that I could say I'm perfectly happy with. But yeah, I think that's also another really important thing to remember, is that we also have to remember the good things, because when we are like just there all day every day and you're so kind of drained with all the pressure and all the stress, and it's easy to forget the things that we should be grateful for. And actually, yeah, if I really put my focus on the things that I'm grateful for, it also boosts my mood somehow. And I just think at the end of the day, you have to find things that keep your happiness levels at a good point.
What keep your happiness level at a good point?
Mine?
Yes.
Was spending time with my family and my friends and my little dog, of course.
Puppy!
Yes. Yeah, I really do enjoy time with friends. I love going out into nature. I love that. I was the past few days, and I forget how much it just recharges me.
Yeah, remember your story.
Yeah.
It kind of left you there, by the way.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love traveling. I love sports. I love going running. That's one of my favorite things to do, is like just a way of still being active and still doing something good for myself. But I love doing that. I love yoga. Yeah, just things like that.
Nice.
Yeah, I just enjoy writing a bit. That's also nice.
Do you write for yourself, or?
I do write on a blog that I just also, thanks to lockdown, I started.
Suzan with a Z.
Just nothing serious. I'm not planning to be a blogger. It's just it's nice for me to write and to kind of have the motivation of thinking, okay, well, I'll post it. I'll keep writing. Sometimes just write for myself, but it's also nice to share some thoughts.
It is. What do you want to do with your account? What is the purpose behind it?
I think it is really just to a few things. It's like I really love the topic that we're talking about today. Is kind of just not having this pressure to conform to a certain idealistic image of being a dancer, and that we at first we're human beings and then we're dancers, And I do really feel that we can create such a better energy if we approach it in a better way. And it all comes down to our mentality and our mindsets to everything and how we see it. And yeah, just kind of to help spread those little gems of advice and things that maybe I would have liked to have known when I was still younger.
The thing I would have liked to know, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a recurring theme these days.
Yeah, and it just helps us all round kind of mental well-being. I know so many people struggle, and I myself also did, with kind of, you know, mental struggles, maybe if that's anxiety or kind of body issues, and that is huge. It's such a huge topic still in the dance world, and I mean every industry, every kind of elite industry is going to have their struggles. I just still think that there's quite a big lack of support and enough knowledge.
I work a lot with Stephanie Belhassan. She's a mental coach, but she was a dancer and then she turned karate. And she's been training in karate a lot of Olympic athletes, and she's saying the same thing, that the mental preparedness is an issue across the board for all athletes, because every single field has that same mentality that if you're weak up there, you're not cut for it.
Yeah.
And that is part of the selection. The natural selection also comes from that. And whereas she and I, and from what I hear you as well, think, well, no, actually, it's also a skill that we can learn and we could get better.
Definitely.
Why would you put aside some amazing dancers just because they just don't know how to manage that?
Yeah, and weak is such like a vague term to use. I mean, I was told by a teacher like that I'm not thick-skinned enough, that I'm too sensitive. And actually, being sensitive can be a good thing.
It is.
And I've kind of, I don't think it was this, yeah, I'm sensitive, but the sensitivity came across in a more of a insecurity. It was a huge insecurity on my part.
And that's what you need as an artist.
Yeah, but we can help ourselves to feel more value within ourselves and to have a better attitude to everything and not come across weak, you know. The sensitivity is a whole different story. Being weak is just insecurity, not really knowing how to deal with everything, and everyone deals with things in a different way.
It is, but I find that even more disappointing in the ballet world, because it's an artistic field, and for me as an artist, you need to be in touch with your emotion. You need to be ultra sensitive, actually.
Definitely.
Because if you want to say something interesting on stage, it has to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And so we're dealing with people who are very sensitive, but we're not teaching them how to make it a strength.
Exactly. I'm a huge believer in energies, that we all have an energy that we project. And I also think that if there's just too many things going on in your head and you think, oh, I shouldn't be sensitive, or I shouldn't be doing this or that, you block so much energy. And I experience that in myself. Then you don't have enough energy to project out and to kind of, like you say something on stage. I'm
sorry, I was just so drawn into what you said.
Don't really know what else to add to that.
I was just like, yeah. You caught me off guard.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just because I really love what I just love what you said.
I hope I'm making sense. Sometimes I just have so many things that just don't all come into a good sentence.
I think we could speak like forever. I want to talk about stereotypes, because in a way, stereotypes, they help people make sense of what we see, and they usually come from a reality. And what I found interesting is that sometimes we actually know how to use all those stereotypes about dancer to make fun of them.
Yeah.
And my favorite account at the moment, which I think is everybody's favorite, is what's his name? Murat Uchanov.
I need to check this one out.
Mariinsky dancer. and he's been doing TikToks, but now you put them on Instagram about the relationship teacher dancer.
Oh, I have to check this out.
And they've just added the pianist, which is lovely because it's a guy, and they put a yoga block here to make the boobs.
Really? That sounds great.
And I really love it because there's so many things he does that I wanted to do, or is just, you know, just the jokes that we make between us, you know, that time where you do amazing combination, nobody's watching because the teacher is talking to the pianist.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, there's so many of them.
Well, he does all of that. But if you think of it, he's actually making fun of all the stereotypical moment of a dancer life. Have you ever thought about what makes the difference between the stereotype that we like to make fun of and we enjoy and we embrace, and the one that we're actually bothered about?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. If I were just to think at the top of my head, I would say like maybe the things that are so ridiculous, that are just so abnormal. You know, my favorite is usually like this thing where like, oh yeah, I have a broken toe, but I'm fine. I'm dancing tonight. You know, stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's really like infected and swollen and broken and whatever, but
it's all right.
The debt is happening tonight. Yeah, I think the things that bother us are usually the things that really have to change. You know, that for example, like this whole like body shaming, for example. This whole thing I really feel like needs to change. Also things like accepting cross training instead of supplementary training. We briefly talked about that yesterday, but that is also like a huge thing.
You shouldn't do strength training, you're gonna bulk up.
Oh god, that one drives me crazy. I've heard people say, you know, they've had knee surgeries, and I mean, if I think of my knee rehab, it was super intense. It was really like a good 6 months of real training. And people ask me, oh yeah, so you injured your knee, you know, you should cycle. You should do 10 minutes on the bike every day, then you'll never have a knee problem again. And I'm thinking,
I hope so.
Okay, I mean,
is that it?
Is that it? You know, it's just kind of a very old-fashioned way of thinking. Or someone also said, oh, you shouldn't be planking because you'll get broad shoulders.
Sure.
Okay.
Everyone who planks have, well, I did plank a lot, and you can see.
Yeah, you see.
Now, you know, when I was a kid, I used to plank, and now I'm stuck with those shoulders. I'm just lucky I have a really long neck.
Perfect. I
always tell my dancer, I say, you don't notice that I have broad shoulders because I have a long neck.
See, I was hanging from the ceiling to try and get my long neck.
But if I had a short neck, you would notice.
But yeah, I don't know, this I think it's good.
I think you're onto something. The stereotypes we don't like are the one we want to change. Yeah. And the other things are just funny.
Oh, I love laughing about it. I think we also have to have a good sense of humor to do what we do.
Well, we need to be sensitive.
Yeah, I had a teacher who always used to say, darling, take your work seriously, but never yourself. And that stuck with me.
I love that one.
Maybe I took that on a little bit too.
Is there such a thing as too much? No,
not in my life.
So what's the future for Suzan?
Well, obviously I have a lot of things that I still want to achieve as a dancer. And yeah, just kind of work myself up in the company, and also kind of realize what kind of dancer I am. I think that took me a while to figure out. Mm-hmm. Coming from school, I always had this kind of like idea, oh yeah, I should be, my role should be, you know, to do Swan Lake or Sleeping Beauty and all these things. And I've come to realize it's just not me. I need something with a bit more grit, something with, you know, a bit more human emotion.
What's your favorite role, the one that just makes
you Manon? Yeah, I know it's a classic. But to me, there's every time I've watched it, it just gave me goosebumps more than any other ballet could have ever given me. That is kind of like the one classical role that I would really love to dance. But other than that, kind of a little bit more neoclassical, even pushing a bit more towards contemporary, kind of neoclassical contemporary. I feel like I can express myself the best in those kind of things. And then after that, I mean, I'm very interested in things like sports science and sports psychology, I guess, and physiotherapy kind of thing. I mean, that's kind of like a route that I would like to look into for after. So yeah,
I just like after you done for life.
Yes, yeah. I couldn't imagine myself to be a just ballet teacher. I prefer like, I don't know, the real nitty gritty things and more.
I never understood why people think every dancer should become a ballet teacher.
Yeah, people always ask me, so but what can you do with your life, like after you dance?
Anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything.
Yeah. You have no idea how many times I still get that question, like, but you can't dance that long, can you? I mean, come on, if you really want to dance that long, you can. I mean, we still had dancers, and we still have dancers who have had 3 kids and 45 and still dancing, and some people who've gone on to do other things. And I think I'm such a curious person that I think I would really love to explore another world as well.
That would be nice as well.
Yeah.
I mean, wherever the world takes you, whatever you like.
Exactly. Well, I'm very happy in Vienna though, so.
It's a nice city.
Yeah.
I'm a bit jealous.
You'll have to come and visit.
Well, I was about to say, I think the future is you and me going for dinner.
I'd love that.
And you'll make sure I don't talk about ballet. That's
easily done.
No, that's not that easy.
That's okay.
I have friends, I kid you not, I have friends who tell me, and we don't call you because you always talk about ballet.
Even after a couple of glasses of wine, it's still ballet?
Well, that's the thing, I don't drink.
Oh, okay.
Well, I do drink, but you don't know. Then that's worse.
Oh, okay, so it's better to keep the wine away.
But yeah, I didn't know how to take it. I'm like, but I'm passionate about it. That's why I love it. Yeah,
that's the thing. I feel like I can talk about ballet as well. It's when you talk about it because you're passionate about it and not because you feel you have to or because that's all you can talk about. I think it's definitely easy to tell the difference.
Yeah. Well, but that will be your challenge. You'll take me out.
Easy.
Well, I'll take you out and you make me not talk about ballet.
Easy.
Well, that's a date then.
Perfect. I look forward to that.
Well, I wish you a really pleasant evening.
Thank you, and you too. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
I hope we chat again very soon.
Definitely. I'd love that.
And say hi to Poppy.
I will. Here, she's realized I'm not giving her any attention.
Susan.
Wow.
Well, have a good evening.
Thank you
so much for your time.
Thank you everyone who joined.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.